Welcome to this week's broadcast. This week's broadcast will be an analysis of the CFTC Commitment of Traders reports published on the 19th of November. This report reflects positions of the large commercials, the non-commercial speculators and the retail traders on the preceding Tuesday, and provides a good indication for profitable trades in the weeks to come. This week we'll be looking at three currencies which we believe are the only currencies at the moment worth monitoring. They are, of course, the New Zealand dollar, which we've been involved in for 3 to 4 weeks, the Canadian dollar and the Swiss franc. We're not trading the Swiss franc, but it needs to be kept a very careful eye on. Our first currency this week will be the New Zealand dollar. As you can see, open interest has diminished over the last week by approximately 10%. I think this is reflected in the low volatility of the currency over the last few days. We are still involved in the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar and the New Zealand US dollar, although we have shortened our position in the US dollar by 50%, taking profit off the table and maintaining half our position in the currency pair. We have moved our stop to break even, so we've locked in a nice little profit in this pair. We maintain our entire position in the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, but obviously we'll be managing the trade on a daily basis because of the significant change in the Canadian dollar. Having said that, of course, you can see that the commercials still hold a 78% proportion of their open trades on the long side, with only 26% on the short side. They have, of course, contracted their long position by nearly 2,000 contracts, but they've also shortened their short side by 900 contracts. So effectively, they have increased their percentages by about 2%, basically maintaining their position. This is very reassuring for us, especially trading the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. And even though we've taken 50% off the table and locking in profit, we're still confident that this pair will continue to trade in the north side direction. Our next currency is the Canadian dollar. Once again, open interest has decreased in this currency, and more significantly, you will note that the commercials have dropped their short contracts by nearly 17,000, well in fact by 17,000, and they've also dropped their long contracts by nearly 2,000. You can see that the large speculators have dropped 8,000, nearly 9,000 long contracts and added to their short contracts. In fact, the speculators' increase in the short side is the only positive trading this week. Even though they have dropped a large number of short contracts, the large commercials are still maintaining a significant short position, with 63, nearly 64% of their contracts on the short side. Interestingly, the retail traders hold a significant amount of this contract, with 20.6% on the long side and 13.2% on the short side. I guess we all know by now that the retail traders are almost always wrong. We are continuing to trade the Canadian dollar short on the New Zealand dollar, and although we've made a nice profit and have moved our stop to lock in profit, we're confident that this pair will continue to go north. We are continuing to monitor the Swiss franc, and as you can see, basically it's ISQ with the Swiss franc. There has been really no increase in open interest, with the commercials adding 1,500 long contracts and 1,200 short contracts to their position. I think this is, as you know, they are hedges basically, and this is simply maintaining the status quo. They still hold nearly 70% of their contracts on the long side, but we don't actually get interested in the franc until they have a ratio of 80-20. We find this a very useful signal. The most interesting aspect, of course, of the Swiss franc is the large proportion of retail traders holding positions in this currency. As you can see from the CFTC, 33.6% of retail traders hold short positions and 13.2% hold long positions. This is historically one of the largest retail trader positions in any major currency, and perhaps reflects the fact that some of the larger institutions don't reach the reporting threshold. We will be looking at a chart of the Swiss franc US dollar later in the broadcast, and it will show what we think of trading this currency at the moment. Our first chart this week is the New Zealand dollar US dollar. As you can see, our entry point is on the 16th of September at nice support, weekly support in fact. You can see that we've made a nice little profit, but it's still quite small. However, the currency pair is now at weekly resistance, which is also a double resistance level as it reflects the 20-week moving average. The commitment of traders report provides us with a degree of optimism, suggesting that this currency will continue to increase. But of course, we have locked in profit by taking half our position off the table and moving our stop to break even. The next chart is the New Zealand dollar Canadian dollar. As you can see, our entry point was at weekly support, and we have made a reasonable profit. Most importantly, you'll notice that the price point has broken through weekly resistance and also broken through the 20-week moving average with a nice green candle for last week. So we expect this currency pair to continue increasing in value. We have moved our stop to lock in a nice but small profit, and we look forward to this currency pair continuing to appreciate. The final chart this week is the monthly chart of the US dollar Swiss franc. As you can see, this currency pair has basically been trading in a range since 2015. We have made some nice profit when we have entered trades at monthly resistance levels and followed them down to the support levels. We only trade this currency pair at monthly resistance or support, usually resistance to be honest. As you can see at the moment, it is trading mid-range, and clearly there are probably profits to be made by swing trading this pair, but we don't do that. However, we will be keeping a very careful eye on the Swiss franc over the next few weeks and keeping you updated weekly. That's it for this week. We'd like to thank you all for listening to our broadcast. As you can see, we maintain our positions in the New Zealand dollar Canadian dollar and the New Zealand dollar US dollar, although we've really locked in profit, and we look forward to being with you again next week.